You feel this nervousness on the phone there?
Sir, I've been trying to make an urgent phone call up there.
Well, I don't think it's something I want to do on an overseas phone.
You gotta make some phone calls. Hang up the phone. Prank caller.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Packernet After Dark. This is the call-in show, the Packernet Podcast Network. If you'd like to call in, if you'd like to participate in the show, please feel free to do so. The phone number here is 608-501-0718. New callers go directly to the front of the line. We don't have any new callers today, but we got Nico. By the way, day 3 for me of the draft just wrapped up. So, it's a good time. We'll talk about it tomorrow, but that's where we're at. Hopefully we get a little bit of day 3 talk today. Hopefully you guys are satisfied with everything. I had a good draft. It was good. It was good to get up there. It was good to kind of relax a little bit and not do the live stream. I was kind of chomping at the bit. It's fun to kind of interact and get my thoughts out there and whatnot, but it was also nice to kind of relax a little bit and all that. So, Nico, hold on. Let's make sure we got this set up. We do. What's going on with you?
All right, this is Nico from Idaho. So, watching the draft with the boys here on the YouTubes, and I even texted one of my friends, hey, we went out of pocket, or, out of the norm to go receiver in round 1, and then we went right back to doing a tackle.
Yep.
So I guess Goody just can't not draft an offensive tackle high. And if it works out good and our O-line gets solidified, totally down with it. So haven't even looked into him. I can't look at offensive line footage because it's just dudes standing there and nothing happening, and I can't do that, So I'll let other people tell me how good he is.
It's kind of why I always struggled with watching UFC. I think it's better now, and I want to try to kind of give it another shot, but UFC always just went to the ground, and it's guys just rolling on the ground, and it's like, this is not interesting to me. I don't know. So
we just got another receiver, this Jalen guy, Williams, or whatever he is, from TCU. Couple things. The dude's kind of a freak. I guess He has an issue with dropping passes.
A little bit.
He is a ex-quarterback, taking a lot of direct snaps. Mm-hmm. He looks like he cuts like he's not 6'4".
Exactly.
He cuts like a little dude. Like, his elusiveness seems to be super high.
Yes. Speed, too.
So hopefully we can work him in. I tell you what, kind of makes you wonder if they got some receivers that they think they're going to go bye-bye. Maybe they don't keep Dobbs.
Right.
Because, they kind of fixed that deal, but do you want a ho-hum guy that just kind of maybe is going to, he's going to be fighting for targets now, not maybe in the beginning of the year when he'll be like the number one guy, and maybe Wicks, Tay Wicks, dude, you had your shot, and you kind of, now if he comes out this year, because his route running is amazing.
Sure.
That's why he had so many targets at the beginning of last year, because he hadn't proved himself to be crap yet, but because he's open every play, kind of like Devontae. But if he can't fix his hands, this is his year for Tay Wicks to fix his hands. If he can and he can stay, I'm all for it. Bo Melton, those dudes, the Heath, Malik's or whatever, the other guys, we got a lot of Heaths the last couple of years.
Heath Barr.
They might be gone. I think
Yeah.
When Christian comes back,
too many guys.
Two freak speed dudes. I still like Dobbs. Dobbs is kind of reminds me of like that just all around good at everything guy, but not the best at everything. Of course, Reed is still the man, and if this Williams cat can be anyways good, that seems to be a good receiving room. So we'll see. We'll see. I am excited, and go Pack, go.
Yeah, I apparently didn't do enough on Savion Williams, because when I watched him, I said this before, it reminds me of Jaden Reed, where it's like, I wish I'd put more resources into this or watched him. I feel like I watched him. I don't know. But I'm watching him like, I swear this would have been one of my top guys. He is similar to what I said about Trey Harris. He is faster than what people say. The difference being there's no evidence of Trey Harris anywhere as far as data. This guy, you go and look at it. First of all, he's not slow. He's in the 4.4s. But beyond that, like I had mentioned, he ran 23 miles per hour. And that, there's other stuff out there, but I mean, he is faster than what his 40 time would indicate. That shows up on tape as well. Everybody can acknowledge how fast he is. I think short speed, long speed, like you said, the agility is shocking for his size. The speed is shocking for his size. And he's actually shown to have really good hands. I don't know if he has focus or concentration issues, because some of his catches are ridiculous. He's unbelievable in 50-50 balls. So his ability to come down with the ball is great. I don't know why he has such a high drop rate. Other than, again, possibly, I think, if I'm not mistaken, maybe I'm wrong about this, but I think I looked at it, and it might not be him, but somebody I looked at, when you look at his on-target catch rate is high, his catchable rate is not very high, which is not great for Jordan Love. I've always said we kind of need the catchable guys. In other words, if the quarterback isn't throwing super accurate balls, he might struggle. It might be that. I don't know. But I am excited. And yeah, a lot of those guys down the line are going to end up going bye-bye. Somebody kind of looked at it, and it was like, if you look at 7 receivers, you basically have one spot left outside of the top guys, not including Mecole Hardman. In other words, Mecole is going to have to be one of the guys fighting for a spot. If you assume Mecole Hardman is on the team, I think you got your 7. Or is it 6? Well, I think you got Watson, who will be on your PUP list. So that'll give you 5 100% locked up, pending some kind of a crazy cut. Because we've got Golden, Dobbs, Reed, Wicks, and Williams, Savion Williams. Watson will go on IR, PUP, whatever. Mecole Hardman would make it 6, meaning the down ballot guys, the ones that are kind of hanging on, they're always fighting for it. I mean, we're kind of out of spaces here. You got Malik Heath, Bo Melton, and then we'll see who else. I mean, somehow we were able to get an undrafted free agent apparently already, according to our lads. I haven't spent a lot of time looking at it, but Tulu Griffin, I hate to say it, but if you're a wide receiver, don't come to Green Bay as an undrafted free agent, dude. There's no space for you. Maybe you can fight for a practice squad spot and make a case for it next year when we purge our guys, but I mean, go somewhere else, you know what I mean? Maybe he wasn't an undrafted. I don't know where he came from. Doesn't matter.
By the way, I just got a comment. This Shedeur Sanders fall, I tell you, is so awesome. I mean, I understand. Maybe he has his dad's attitude, and to be honest, Deion was pretty freaking good. He had, they say you be who you can afford to be. Yeah, Deion was one of the best coverage cornerbacks I've ever seen. I mean, even when he was with Atlanta, dude would, start off playing baseball. Atlanta would be like 0-4 or 0-5. And just getting Sanders, they'd start winning. And how often can you say that about a cornerback? You can't. But this Sanders drop, I tell you what, no one likes an entitled douchebag. Prove yourself, then become an entitled douchebag.
Right.
People get mad at Rodgers for being a douchebag. I don't give a crap. Dude was the best thrower of the football I've ever seen in my life. And I've heard that from many other people. So he had the right to be a douchebag. Shedeur, you don't have that right yet, bro. And end of the 3rd, maybe in the 4th, someone will take a flyer on you. I wonder, can he play anything other? Can he play anything else? Like, is he like a 4-2 guy like his dad?
No, he's slow.
He's fast.
He's slow.
Good hands. Like,
slow.
Maybe he would be better at a different position.
No.
I don't know. Who knows? Hey, I'm getting a FaceTime for my granddaughter, so I got to take this. But hey, go Pack, go.
Cool, man. Yeah, the Shedeur thing, I don't know, man. When you look at the Browns, I don't even know that they super wanted him. There's kind of some buzz. I don't know how realistic it is, but the ownership kind of stepped in and was like, "You're doing this," because it was very interesting when they drafted him. They showed a video of very little enthusiasm about drafting him. If you remember, there was a rumor. I don't remember if it was direct or what, but Deion Sanders came out and said, "I don't want my son playing for the Browns." So that's not great, right? If you're the Browns organization, to bring this guy in and have been slandered in such a way, even if it was by the dad, it's still not great. But then you listen to the press conference after the fact, and the coach, GM, whoever it was, I think it was the GM. I can't remember which one was speaking, but it wasn't like, oh yeah, we're excited to have him, and he's got. It was like, look, man, when you come in here, you're gonna have to work, and you're gonna have to apply yourself, and you're gonna have to actually earn it here. And it was like a lecture. Usually for those press conferences, it's all just fluff. Like, oh, we think he's great, and we're really excited to have him, and he's got a legitimate chance. He was lecturing Shedeur Sanders in front of the media with no Shedeur even there. Just basically, he seemed pissed that he was even there, and it was like, look, man, you're gonna have to work. And so the idea that he's somehow being slandered or whatever. I mean, it's very obvious. First of all, I think it's obvious that teams took him off the board entirely. I think that is. He is, I believe, unless the whole thing was just fake, I believe he's way too talented to have fallen that far. This is not a talent thing. This is a personality thing. And the personality was bad enough that extremely desperate teams said no thank you. Extremely desperate teams said no thank you. And it wasn't until the 5th round when a team took him and showed no enthusiasm for taking him whatsoever. Seemed to come into this with an attitude of like, bro, you better not come in here and be a douche, is kind of the vibe that the Browns are putting out as a first message about their new quarterback. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, if he can pull it together, again, I think the talent is there to exceed the 5th round expectations. I don't have super high expectations for him. Because from what it sounds like, without having watched myself, just listening to people, again, I liked him 2 years ago when I watched him, but it sounds like he is Justin Fields, he is Caleb Williams, he is that guy that holds on to the ball too long, takes unnecessary sacks. The difference being, Caleb Williams is one of the more talented arm talents that has come out in forever. I mean, he is the quintessential we want Pat Mahomes guy. So you take that and you say, let's see if we can, make it work, because he's unbelievably gifted with what he can do with his arm. You look at Justin Fields and it's like, this is one of the more elite rushing guys with the athleticism, and he's got a cannon for an arm and all. I mean, and Caleb does too. Both very strong arm guys, athletic, talented, gifted, all of that. This guy comes in. He has apparently, again, I don't know, not a very strong arm, no real athleticism, and you take all the negative habits of not seeing the field and holding the ball too long and all that kind of stuff, and then on top of that, you add in a guy that has the arrogance of, and you listen to the people that are like doing the apologetics for this guy, and it's like, oh, so he comes in and he says he's going to be great, like, oh, apparently that's a red flag. And then they go on to, this is Kuiper and the rest of that ridiculous cast that was up there, but especially Kuiper. Apparently that's a red flag. You think everybody else isn't saying that? Yes, I do think they're saying that. So why didn't they fall? Maybe because that's not it. He's not just confident. Of course they're all confident. You see Matthew Golden walking around with the chain and the swagger and all that stuff and the bravado and I'm blah, 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 blah. They all do that. So that's not the problem. Stop pretending that's the problem. Oh, he's just confident. You can't handle confidence. No, you're stupid. Teams demand confidence. It's required to get drafted to have confidence in yourself. You're being idiotic. There's obviously very serious problems. And the fact that all these very desperate teams that need a quarterback sat down and had personal meetings, and every single one of them said it was terrible. In fact, one person said it was the worst meeting they've ever had in their entire life. Of course, everybody freaks out about it rather than just listening, because this is what happens. If you listen and just accept information for what it is, this is a very distinct difference. There's a billion categories of this, but there's two kinds of people. There's is people and ought people. Is people listen to information, and no matter how much it might not be information that you like or that you want to hear, you accept it and you do what you can with that information. These are the people that are the ones that you want to listen to. The ought people are people who look at the world as how it should be, how they wish it was, how they want it to be. And then when information comes in, they reject the stuff that they don't like. Somebody says it was the worst interview I ever had. Well, that's not my worldview. My worldview is that Shadur Sanders is a very wonderful, kind-hearted, beautiful young man, extremely talented, and so this information is fake information. Why? Well, because I'm an ought person, and I look at the world through the lens of how I want things to be. These are the people you should never listen to. Moving on. Actually, why don't we take a break? We'll come back and hear from Kyle in Madison.
Ryan, what's up, man? Kyle from Madison.
What's
How
up,
are
dude?
you?
Good.
Hope you're enjoying the draft weekend.
Yeah.
So look, I said it yesterday, man. Watch for Goody to double up at receiver this first 2 days.
You nailed it, dude.
And sure enough.
Yep.
And I just he's not willing to hitch his wagon as far as his legacy on whether or not Savion Williams and Romeo Dobbs.
And we kind of talked about that, right? Like they had their last year was sort of the let's see if they take a step or let's find out who takes a step. And unexpectedly and unfortunately, the answer was nobody. Dobbs, for all intents and purposes, went backwards. Wicks went backwards. Reed, I think, was solid. But again, I think we identified some very serious flaws. Maybe that's not even the fair way to put it. I think we just recognize this cannot be our wide receiver one, and we need to have talent around him so that we can just let Reed do what Reed does best. Because when we try to put the game on Reed's shoulders, that ain't going to work. But if you have a true number one over here, and you got your Z, your speed threat, this guy over here, let's just say for the sake of best case scenario, no offense to the guys that we've had that I love, but let's just say that the best thing happened in this draft, and Savion Williams is a true dominant X receiver, and Matthew Golden is a dominant Z receiver. A guy like Jaden Reed is going to thrive in that environment. But anyways, the question was essentially answered. And so now we move forward with the assumption that they can't. And again, if Wicks can do it, cool. If Dobbs explodes, if Watson comes back and can stay healthy the whole year and kind of plays like he did in Dallas or that, those little stretches we've seen of his brilliance, that's freaking awesome. I'm not advocating for any of these guys getting cut. What I'm saying is they were given a very fair opportunity. The Packers learned that none of them, as of right now, seem to be the guy, and we need a guy. We need guys that we can rely on. And between injuries and attitude issues and drop issues, there is a concerted effort to get this fixed. And hopefully, we got bottom line is it's not even about necessarily replacement. We got a pile of serious talent, and someone needs to emerge. Romeo Dobbs, Matthew Golden, Jaden Reed, Savion Williams, Christian Watson, Dontavian Wicks. Throw in frickin' Mecole Hardman if you want. I don't care. Bo Melton, throw him in there. There is a pile here. Somebody has to step up. We got a bunch of threes. We need some guys to step into a firm number 2 role, and boy, it would be nice if we had a true number 1 wide receiver. Obviously, I'm looking at Matthew Golden here. I have fingers crossed for Savion Williams. Maybe I'm dreaming, but that dude is a freak. I'm still all in on Christian Watson, but, the game is passing him by right now with all the injuries. So, yeah, it's just due diligence, man. They were given a fair shot.
Become their final form, or whether Watson comes back from that knee injury. Like, if Goot's going down, it'll be because Love never becomes what it looked like he could be.
Sure.
But it's not going to be for lack of weapons.
Yeah.
And the Savion Williams pick is absolutely savage by Gutekunst. I freaking love it. Because what he's just done is, imagine you are sitting at home watching television and you're a receiver for the Green Bay Packers right now. In the last 24 hours, your world Gutekunst has said something to you without saying anything to you. And I don't think he could have communicated it any more forcefully than.
And by the way, I know that this has gone by, but I just want to reiterate this point. For those of you that are or were in the camp of the Packers did something wrong when they drafted Jordan Love, this is the nature of the NFL. This is the nature of the NFL. The team is they draft you, they praise you, they give you all kinds of money and opportunities, and then they immediately try to replace you. Now, if the other wide receivers show up and throw a temper tantrum and say this isn't fair and this isn't right, then you can go bye-bye. But this is how it goes, man.
He did. The Green Bay Packers wide receiver core this offseason will be the most competitive camp battle in the entire NFL. That is going to be insane.
Yeah.
Trying to make the team as a wide receiver.
I wish Watson
and that
could
is
be a part
exactly
of it.
what needs to happen. He needs to get these guys in there. And Golden said it yesterday. He said it's dog mentality. Well, good. You're going to need it because, I mean, that is going to be a crazy, crazy room. So, wow.
Yep.
I mean, and look, I know we needed a cornerback. We need edge. But, you know, you can't sit there and watch last season and say anything other than, yeah, the wide receivers really in stretches let us down. The quarterback's another thing, but there's no denying. I mean, some of those games were just shockingly bad from a production standpoint from the receivers. So I understand you have some other positions to fill, but it wasn't like a vanity pick or a,
right,
luxury pick. I mean, this is needed. So wow, I'm that's crazy, man. I'm happy, but that is going to be one competitive room. So
yes.
We'll see how the rest of the weekend shakes up. But talk to you later. Bye.
Well, I'm extremely interested to see the offensive line as well. I mean, we got a second-round pick that sounds like an absolute monster and a man mover, and the team, when you listen to them talk about him, they are glowing. They love this guy. And Rasheed Walker is legit, and Jordan Morgan is a first-round pick that has got to compete somewhere. And, so it's going to be interesting to see how this all shakes out. But that's going to be another real interesting competition moving forward. But in the best possible way. It's a competition where you feel good that good is going to come from it, And as far as the defensive line, did we get elite players? I don't know, probably not. But it's a group that I expect good things to come out of as far as the guys we already had. And then you add some talent to that. I'm excited about, getting a sort of a one-tech type of guy in there that's a solid run defender. He looks really talented to me. Baron Sorrell is getting a ton of love. People are super excited about him, I could tell. We'll see what happens with that. I think the really the only position I look at that I go, I just don't know is corner. And don't forget about Kalen King, man. I don't think anything's going to come of that, but that was a guy that I really liked last year. And if he's able to take a step, that would be phenomenal. We still have Bullard, right? As much as that whole situation doesn't make me super happy. I think the Packers view Bullard right now as a corner. I mean, there's no real place for him as a safety. So as far as the bodies that we have there, I don't know if we have a ton of premier guys, but you got Bullard in year 2. You got Kalen King going into year 2. We got a free agent that we brought in on top of having Valentine and Keyshawn Nixon, who were kind of our starting corners for all of last year anyway, with Nixon basically saying, look, take me off special teams, man. I want to do this cornerback thing legit. Like, I really want it to be a thing. I mean, I think we have our starting 3. I think we have some guys underneath that can play. I think Bullard kind of probably lost his job with Hobbs coming in. But, we've got the depth there. And then, we added another depth piece that's going to come in and compete. Obviously, a bunch of special teams contributors throughout the draft. So, I've always said that the problem with doing these drafts is we assume that after about rounds 1 and 2, everybody sucks. And we have 5 needs, and we want to double up on all the needs. And so no matter what, your draft is going to suck. And when you take 2 of the same position in the first 3 rounds, even at wide receiver, as much as fans want that, you're going to piss somebody off because there are needs that you're not going to get until the later rounds, and people are going to assume they're no good, and you didn't address it, and you failed. I don't know, man. I'm feeling pretty good about stuff right now. Drew in Green Bay.
Hey Ryan, it's Drew from Green Bay,
What's up?
and day 2 just ended, and so Golden wasn't in the first round, wasn't the guy that I came in wanting, but the details pretty much went that I wanted, and so I was like, they're kind of like 3 guys, and Johnson was injured and all that, so he was one of the guys I liked, but if you take him off, and I forgot who the other guy was, but Golden was like, I was fine. I kind of feel like this whole draft among a lot of the teams is let's just get a guy and let's limit our risk. Let's go for high floor instead of high ceiling. And I think Golden, he was younger and he's kind of like a lot of what the Packers like, and it was a good time they thought to go for wide receivers, so I was fine with that. But I do think it kind of caused some issues because in like rounds 2 and 3, there were some really good wide receivers to go after.
Yeah.
Like Trey Harris was there, and we didn't really need him anymore. Jack Besh was there, So then we ended up going with Anthony Belton. He looks okay, but to me, he looks more like a 3rd or 4th round guy. Like, he doesn't really seem to get a lot of push, and he doesn't look like overly strong. He is good at like reading what the defensive line is doing and like picking up stunts and stuff. That's
the interesting thing about both of these really big offensive linemen. You assume they're really good run defenders or run blockers. But they I don't want to say they can't do it, because I think that's part of, they're coming in with the Packers offensive line coaches licking their chops saying we're going to turn this guy into a man mover. So I want to give them that whatever you want to call it. Assume that can develop, I guess, is what I'm saying. But the big thing is, even though they can't necessarily, it very much reminds me of what's his name? Warren Brinson, but on the other side. Warren Brinson as a run defender, nobody knocks him backwards. He's not very good at going forwards, but going backwards, not the best. And I think that's where I listened to one of the coaches talk, and it's like, this guy, it's like running into a wall. Like, you're not pushing him back. So he's a very big, very strong guy that is very athletic for his size, and I think that's what gets him really excited. They probably got to work some things out as far as the run blocking technique and all that kind of stuff to improve him with that, maybe get his strength up a little bit. When you're that size and you're presumably pretty strong, you have to assume there's some technique issues if you're not able to move people, and being 6'6" can be tough. You try to get underneath people, leverage can be a problem, but again, I think can be a coaching point. You take a guy again like that in the 2nd round, I think they have sky-high expectations for him. So I get what you're saying, and I think for several guys you look at and you just go, I just don't get it. Fair enough, but just understand that what you're expressing is clearly not what the Packers think, because they took him in the 2nd round. They could just be very wrong. I'm not saying they're right, but their vision for him is much bigger, and that gets me excited, I guess.
The strength, but combo blocking does really well at that, but yeah, he's not like an athletic freak. And then Savion Williams, I hated the pick.
I wouldn't say athletic freak, but very athletically freaky for his size.
I'm not a fan of his. I don't think he's good. He's kind of like, reminds me of Ty Montgomery, running back, wide receiver combo, but more of a wide receiver. And yeah, just like Ty Montgomery didn't work. Now, is this guy going to work? We'll see.
I don't like the comps. Again, I when people say he's like Ty Montgomery or what, I don't like those types of players because, yeah, they never work. They never work. You say Debo, it's like, was Debo really like that, though? Is he a wildcat guy? Is he like a running back / wide receiver? I think it's a bit of an exaggeration. He's a big slot guy that's really strong after the catch. So I'm not saying I don't like the comps because I think they're necessarily bad. I don't care about any of that. I don't care about what he does at Wildcat. I don't care. What I care about is when I watch him play wide receiver, I am stunned. What is he? 6'2", 222 or something, or 6'4", 222 pounds. Monster. Like 75% contested catch rate. 23 mile an hour top speed. And he can cut on a dime. If he never steps foot in the backfield, which I'm sure he will, I'm sure we're going to do all the gadget bull crap, I don't want it. I look at what he's potentially able to do as an X receiver, and I am beyond excited about that. The rest of it can go shove it. And it's for that reason especially. I would be excited about it, but it's the fact that it's like, oh, he's like Cordero Patterson. Don't say that, because Cordero Patterson is bad at football. I don't want him to be Cordero Patterson. I want him to be a 6'4", 222-pound freak that is a incredible route runner with great speed that can be a really solid X receiver with Matthew Golden on the other side. I don't want him in the backfield.
But I'm not holding my breath. Let's just put it that way. I was hoping for something more, and yeah, what'd you think? I thought there were some good players in the third round too, but I really wanted to trade up in the third round, and I think we missed out on a lot of talent in the third by not trading up. Like, you take a Revel or something like that. But anyways, have a good one. Bye.
I don't think Revel was ever going to happen. I just don't. I don't think the Packers were interested in taking these very injury-prone guys. I mean, he's an older guy that's kind of busted down. He's got a huge injury history. I think he was borderline off the board. That, or, you know, we're not going to touch him until this round or whatever, where we're a little bit less risk averse. But of course, he's not going to make it that far. I think they had a very concerted effort to say we're going to be a little bit more cautious. Some of the later guys did have some injury stuff, but it was pretty minor. Like, one of the guys had a bone contusion in high school, which is like a freaking bruise, and then like a foot injury or something, which I don't think is a super serious thing. He missed a lot of time, but as far as, like, you know, this is a serious knee injury that's going to hurt his athleticism and could be a recurring injury, I don't think it's anything like that. So, you know, we'll see. I'm just blown away by Savion Williams, and I guess if I were to try to encourage you, that's what I would probably say. I know most people weren't super high on day 2, and I get it, but think about the potential here with the offensive lineman. I'm you know, it's very easy to get pessimistic on it, and I think if you start digging into the data, it's a terrible pick. Number one, because it's a reach, and most reaches are terrible. Like, as far as compared to the consensus, it doesn't work out very well. It was a huge reach, and the statistics were not great. But really solid pass blocker, massive human being that is very athletic for his size. Let's see what happens. And, you know, for all I know, if Morgan can slide over to left tackle or not, I don't care. Maybe he can be our right guard and just be a massive human being on the right side. I think the potential there is pretty awesome. And then again, I would just encourage you to ignore the backfield stuff. Don't think of him as just this gadget guy, and maybe that's their intention, and I hope not. But just exclusively watch him on the outside and think about what that is and what that means. Watch him win off of press. Watch him fight through contact. Watch him win the 50-50 balls. Watch his route running. At that size, a guy shouldn't be able to cut like he does. A guy shouldn't be able to run as fast as he does. He is, I mean, he is just a really, really impressive specimen of a human being, and I could not care any less about the Wildcat bullcrap. I don't care. I don't need it. I don't want it. Let's take another break. We'll come back. We got a couple from Beer Cheese Benny.
Hey, Ryan and Packernet. Beer Cheese Benny here.
Yo.
You know, at first, the pick of Belton, I did not like it, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's because I thought we should have taken a corner or an edge. I still think maybe we should have taken an edge or like a defensive tackle. But, you know, you think about Ryan and Walker, they're going through contract years this upcoming year. There's no guarantees with our own line, and, you know, we need to protect Jordan Love. And honestly, I was watching tape of Belton, and I was like, you know what, he's actually just kind of a big beast, man.
He is a beast.
Only thing I worry about is it looks like he kind of has a tendency to hold, but
sure, I think that was a note.
He puts guys on the ground, man. But I honestly could see him more as a guard. I know he played mostly left tackle, but yeah, I mean it's not a bad pick. And then the Savion Williams, I love that pick. That's a great pick.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I you know, at some point somebody's got to play tackle. I mean, we can't keep taking like first, second round tackles that are fighting for that one guard spot. Someone's got to freaking play. I mean, again, I like Rashid, but it's very obvious at this point that they're trying to find better, and good on you. But someone's got to step up and do it. It's like, is Jordan Morgan going to be a backup right guard behind Sean Ryan, and Belton's going to be a backup left guard behind freaking somebody's got to play here, So again, if it's Morgan at left tackle and Belton at right guard, I'm all for that. Again, I'm a fan of Rashid, but I understand that we want to be big and we want to be physical, we want to be imposing, and if you can hit on it, I'm all for it. I'm just skeptical, I guess, is my concern. But yeah, I mean, you made the picks. Now somebody's got to step up and do it, because again, we can't just have a line of people fighting for a right guard spot. Part 2, beer cheese.
Sorry, Ryan. Freaking walking my dogs outside.
It's fine.
My neighbor's dog happened to be outside too, so when another dog sees another dog, they go freak out on each other. So, anyways, what I was saying, Savion Williams, this is a great pick, dude.
I like
a big dude, and he's way faster than the 4.48, man.
Yeah, he is.
You know what I mean? And I just think he fits LaFleur's system very well in what he can do. He's kind of can do the gadget stuff. I mean, everybody's been saying that, but I think he's more worthy than just being a gadget type guy. You know what I mean? Obviously, I don't think he could play on the outside.
I do.
Really. But I think he's going to be great for us. And
let me put it this way: if he can't play on the outside, I think it's a bad pick. I'll leave it at that. I mean, you have to do that. I mean, if you're just a gadget guy kick returner, not in the third round, dude. That's too much for me.
You had to, honestly, if you weren't going to go defense, for that pick, you had to really step up the receiver room, because you're not going to keep half those guys. And to me, it sounds like Goody and the coaching staff are kind of just sick of what they've been seeing. They're like, well, we need to force the issue, which I love, because you can't keep Dobbs and Watson, right? I think one of them is as good as gone. I mean, Dobbs, he's freaking one more fall away from, having to retire. And Christian Watson doesn't do us any good because he's never on the field, always gets hurt.
Mm-hmm.
But, and then, you got your guys like Wicks, Melton, and whoever else, Heath, that really, haven't proven much. And I think the Packers are just kind of sick of it. And it's you know what? We're going to bring these guys in. Let's see if they want it more. Let's see if they want to be better than what we got. And then they're set for the future. Imagine if they didn't make this pick. Then we're sitting there without a decent receiver, man. As a 3 or 4 guy. So anyways, let's see if day 3, if we can I think that the rest of these picks need to be defense. They really do.
They are.
But we'll see. I think we're having a pretty good draft.
Yeah, and I appreciate the relative optimism, mostly because, again, I think day 1, Packer fans overall, very excited. Day 2, mostly negative. Day 3, I think we all kind of came back around. Not only were the picks independently, at least for me, let me speak for myself, independently I appreciated the picks, but collectively stepping back and looking, it's okay, I can kind of see the vision of what we're doing and I can appreciate it. And again, part of it was the big revelation for me, which is we all saw the vision after the Super Bowl. The Packers stayed on that vision. We all left it. We went from, trenches to, but wide receiver and corner, maybe throw a linebacker in there, and the Packers just never left that vision. And so when I saw the result of that, and by the way, a lot of teams are doing it. I saw a ton of the Vikings right now. They were furious about their first round pick, and then I saw some people coming around remember the Super Bowl? Like, remember the Eagles and the Lions and like how they do all this stuff? Trenches, man. It's all about winning up front. And so I think a lot of teams were fighting over that. And I think the Packers stayed true to it, and they're going to try to be more imposing on that front. It starts in the trenches. We know that, and we're watching teams that embrace that win. We're watching the Lions win. We're watching the Eagles dominate in the trenches and then just absolutely win everything. And the Packers want a piece of that. And maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong, I don't know. But the point is I can see the vision and I can appreciate the vision, and now it's a matter of can we execute it. And that's really what it comes down to.
Hi, Ryan. It's Randy from Minnesota.
What's up, dude?
Well, it's going into day 3 for me of the draft.
Yep.
Saturday morning. I'm surprised. I am not disappointed. I think you hit the nail on the head that at the end of the season, the defense was picking it up. I'm really glad you did that dive into that and how much they improved as the season went along. Now we're going into the second year with this defensive system, and I kind of think they just might hit the ground running. Well, obviously that's the hope. And getting some help for Jordan and some true speed, it's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said it before. I'll say it again 1,000 times. Good. Matt LaFleur, since he's been here, has been just wanting speed, and he's just been struggling with it. You know, we had MVS for a long time, and it just wasn't quite what you wanted it to be. He was fast, but it wasn't crazy fast, and they just could not, for whatever reason, could not get on the same page with Rodgers. And the fact that Rodgers was on the same page with other guys, and it looks like MVS went to another team, and it wasn't super great there either, makes it seem like maybe he was struggling with speed and angles and all the stuff that is required to get on the same page. I just don't think it was quite working. But, that went away. And then, we tried a couple different things. We got Christian. It was fantastic, but the guy can't stay on the field. And so we're forced to go to guys like Bo Melton, and that's just not it. And Matt, I think he is just desperate for some things. We've been wanting this Matt LaFleur thing. I think we saw it for the first time this past year start to come to life a little bit. But he's got the running back finally. He needs the speed, and hopefully we have it with Golden. I'm a little skeptical because, again, I've just never really seen that level of speed on the field, but I know it's there, so hopefully we can just have it, and then it'll be great. Let's just get Watson back and have him healthy, please. I don't want to give up on that dream. Maybe I should. And then just give him his offensive line. He's got his tight end in Kraft. He's got his running back. We're building the offensive line, and we maybe finally have that fixture of speed. Not like occasionally in a couple games we get it, and then when we don't, our offense can't operate anymore. It's just there, and it's never going away. If he can just have his offense, what a beautiful thing that would be for all of us.
Would I like to get a little bit? I'm hoping on day 3 we go defensive tackle and cornerback. We look at that. But overall, I'm happy with it. I believe let Goot do what Goot does, and he's smart. He's smart about this stuff than we are, and we just need to admit that. The other thing is, after hearing your last couple pods, I'm really glad now that we're getting out of looking at all these different players. Because, dude, you really need a rant. I can tell the last 2 rants you went on, it's been building up.
It's pent up, yeah.
And you were going to explode if you didn't go on a rant.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. And I'm glad you're going to be able to get back into a little bit of your own niche, let's say.
Yeah, I
Anyway,
agree.
That's about all I got. Go Pack Go. Thank you for the shows, Ryan, all the content. It really makes the day go by a whole lot better for me when I know I can sit down and listen to you and Clayton for a few hours during the workday. Anyway, Go Pack Go. Bye.
No, I appreciate that. And yeah, you can kind of tell, the whole Shadur Sanders thing is weird because it's got nothing to do with you. It's yeah, but it's the only thing I can latch onto where I can scream. You know what I mean? I disagree and I need to just vent on something. We'll have to do an NFC North kind of a breakdown thing. I'm sure there'll be opportunities to go after Packer fans, but I don't really want to. So hopefully the Bears had a bad draft, or the Vikings, or the Lions, or somebody that I can just make fun of them and just go after them. But yeah, it is a needed thing. It felt good to just unleash. This is my therapy as well as yours. So, the breakdowns are necessary. I like to make the show as informative as I can and try to do what I think is the right thing. But at the same time, we all know why you're here. And it's not for my intellect. But yeah, I'm excited to be through this. I'm a little sad because I love the draft and all that, but I'm excited to dive into it. I'm ready to start sparring with Bears fans and Lions fans about who had the better draft. Lions fans are already up in arms about our draft was better because we had a couple more people, which, by the way, massive kudos to just Packer fans in general. I mean, there are, I'm just freaking getting in my feelings about it, but there's always a lot of talk about Packer fans. There's myths and legends about Packer fans, but and I was even kind of hammering them this past year as far as, I'm not seeing the Packer fans show up as much as they used to. I mean, just recently, I'm not seeing the traveling as much, and they're selling all their freaking tickets, and we're seeing Lambeau Field in seas of purple and blue, and just it's very, very disappointing. And it's kind of discouraging because it was becoming sort of an urban legend or a myth of these people that are so passionate about football, and so one of the most diehard fan bases in all of football. And this draft was one of the most beautiful representations of everything that Wisconsin and Packer fans are, and it came to life. The myth and the legend, to see it come to life in such spectacular fashion. A small town that was able to put on such a big and wonderful, of everybody that was there said this was such an incredible experience. The people here are wonderful. I saw something, I don't know if it was just day one, maybe it changed or whatever, but listen, you got people that are drinking all day. You got hundreds of thousands of drunks together, and there's potential for problems. I can tell you, and we got out of there relatively early because I knew people were starting to get drunk, and I was worried about what that could possibly mean. I saw that I think there was one arrest. One arrest. Hundreds of thousands of hammered drunk Wisconsinites. One person was arrested. Now, again, that might have just been day one or something, but it really was a very family-friendly event. The people there are extremely polite. I didn't see or hear anything inappropriate. I mean, a couple, swears or whatever. They're grown adults for the most part. You're sensitive around it with your kids, but I mean, there was no fights. I mean, like Summerfest is just, it's ridiculous. You go to Summerfest in Wisconsin and you get there later and it is a sea of cups busted up on the floor. There's fights all over. It's not a great Wisconsin representation. It's a fun time, but it's a slop fest. This was different. This was Green Bay. This was Wisconsin. This was people coming saying, you people are so genuine. You're so nice. It was beautiful. And then to cap it all off, the fact that the expectation was 250,000 people, the final count was 600,000. Because that is just, again, the embodiment and representation of what this fan base is. They are small but massive. This tiny town, but a massive and insanely loyal fan base. And not only did it show up in numbers, but days 1, 2, and 3 were jam-packed. They were talking about how shocked they were that the draft is basically over and it's still a massive sea of people still screaming, "Go Pack, go." The fact that on day 3, there was a guy that got drafted by the Packers, which is one of the more amazing stories of this thing, where a guy was there, thought he was going to go day 2, didn't get drafted, said, "Screw it, I'm going to stay here." He's sitting by himself. Very, sad situation to be sitting by yourself in the green room, and Green Bay picks him. They didn't know he was there, so it wasn't like, well, it's a pity pick or something. It was just fate. It was just a cherry on top of a magical experience. And it's not that he's walking out to a handful of people. He walked out to a sea of people cheering for him. He goes out into the stands with all these people taking photos and high fives and all that. It's just incredible. And, you know, for a media group that was, when this was announced, generally hostile to the idea of doing it because it's too small and all this stuff and there's nothing to do there, to hear their response of really just kind of eating their words and saying, you know, this is an incredible event they put. And by the way, not only do the fans deserve a ton of credit, but Mark Murphy is a legend. That guy tomorrow needs a street named after him. Because the beautiful thing I was thinking about this is, Mark Murphy seems, not that I know him, but he seems like such a good and genuine person. I don't believe that this was, I want this done before I go so that it's me that did it, that it's my legacy so that I can be there. I felt like it was his parting gift to this fan base. He built Titletown, and he did the impossible bringing the NFL draft here, and it wasn't about him, it was about us. It was about giving back to us. It was about doing something spectacular. And really, everything that we showed to the world, Mark wanted the world to see it. He wanted to give this fan base what it deserved. He wanted to give this team what it deserved. And he, not that they need to be put on the map, but for those that don't know, for those that need to be reminded about what an amazing place Green Bay is, what an amazing fan base this is, let there be no doubt that there's something just magical about Green Bay. You know, Chicago did a great job, but it's Chicago. Not that you can't mess it up, but I mean, they put it in a beautiful area. And obviously there's a ton of people there, and they knocked it out of the park. And, Tennessee will always go down as like, there's music everywhere, and it's such a cool thing. And 100%, yes, kudos to them. And Vegas is freaking Vegas. Detroit put on a bullcrap show. But only Green Bay, only this fan base could do what it did with what it had. And I am eternally grateful to Mark Murphy, because not only did it really kind of show everybody about this fan base and introduce them to our culture a little bit in terms of what it's like to be in Wisconsin, what it's like to be with Packer fans, and to show all of those things, it kind of reinvigorated that in me, how special it is to be a Packer fan. Because, again, for a while, it just started to feel like words. Yeah, we're a championship team, but we're not really winning anything. And we're a great fan base, but, I'm not really seeing those seas of green anymore. And our stadium is filled with other people, and we're very quiet. There's no noise in the frickin' crowd when they're trying to be loud. And, it just got to, I guess, wear on me a little bit, and I think I needed this. It was great to be with Packer fans, and it was great to see what the Packer fans did over this week. And, that's it. I guess that's what I got to say. I'm gonna sign off with that, I think. I'm gonna leave it at that. You guys have a great rest of your night. Just got a handful of calls here, so I know it's the weekend, and you guys are probably pretty beat and everything, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. Take some time. Look at some video, read some articles, do what you got to do to help form your opinion, and get back to me. Let's hear what you think. Have a good night. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.